everybody, and welcome back to the Seeds of Change podcast. I am your host, Mark A. Turnipseed, and I'm happy to be here to talk about little itty bitty seeds of change that you might be able to apply to your life that's going to help you to create big amounts of change into your life. Y'all, that's in essence everything that I think about every single day is how can I make my life just a little bit better? How can I not only make my life and then after working for a few years on that, it's how can I start making other people's lives a little bit better? Because in the time when we start to really invest into ourselves, when we really start to love the person that God created, when we really start to try to improve upon the person that God created, then we are going to start to recognize that we have something to give, right? That we have something to give. And y'all, once I came around to that understanding, my life began to change. My life began to change in a way that I stopped thinking about, am I ever going to be able to do this? Am I ever going to be able to stay sober the rest of my life? Am I ever going to be able to stay loyal to my partner the rest of my life? Am I ever going to be able to be a man of integrity for the rest of my life? Well, the only way to start to really know that for yourself is actually by practicing being who you are to the T. Being who you are to the T and learning to love who you are to the T, right? And for me, with the last name Turnipseed, I've got to do it all the way to my last name, all the way through the very beginning of me, all the way to the very end. I've got to be Mark T to the T. Now, that's not always been an easy thing. Anybody who's listened to my platform knows that I haven't always felt like enough. It's only been a number of years. I'm 37 years old, right? And I went off track for a number of years, and I really only started diverting into the possibility of life being good, right, about 30 years old. Before that, I always thought that I wasn't enough. I wasn't enough to measure up. I wasn't enough to be successful. I wasn't enough to have the responsibility of success, right? I'm starting to recognize now that it's not really even the success that I'm after, as much so it's the calling, right? And if it's a calling that I'm answering, it's more of a drive, right? Going after success, going after money was never really enough for me. Going after a calling helps to drive me. It helps to give me purpose. It helps to give me some sort of motivation that seems so much more lasting than money or success or fame, followers, whatever it is, right? If I have a mission, if I have a drive, I almost don't need to worry about the rest of what's out there. You know, I almost can just let go, right? Can you just let go in life? Is there some things that are holding you back where you just can't let go of it? You just can't let go and like move into your purpose. Like starting a business, for instance. A lot of times we're holding back. We're holding back ourselves because no, the world doesn't want that part of me. There's not people out there who have this same problem. You know, we've isolated ourselves, and we also don't think that our unique characteristics are going to help to serve the world, right? But it's only if we start actually really listening to that and actually going after it that then God creates around us, because we're putting in effort, in integrity, and by a mission, by a purpose, and because we're putting energy out there like that, God's going to reward that and bring that back to you and show you that your purpose is being followed. Okay, your purpose is being followed, and what will end up happening is a tribe will circle around you and help support you in whatever business that you're trying to lift up, in whatever the book you're trying to write. Like my first book, My Suicide Race, right? That book came about and I had no finances. I had all the excuses and I had none of the resources to actually create a book. And I just started writing. I didn't even have a job, right? I didn't have any money coming in. I had a newborn baby and I had no idea, but I knew God wanted me to share this message. So I just started sharing it. I started sharing it as a blog. And then sure enough, as I was true to myself, As I was true to what was going on inside of me, God filled the doors around me of the things that I needed in order to complete the book, right? And that happens in so many different ways, right? So for myself, in order to be able to take that leap of faith, right? I was just at a coaching call, or not a coaching call, a coaching talk last night. And I recognize that the kind of confidence and faith kind of go hand in hand, right? It's real easy to walk out into the world and have faith that everything's going to turn out good when you're feeling uber confident, when you're having a real confident day. But when you're having a day where you're not feeling so confident, right? When you're having a day where you're just not feeling yourself. Maybe you're sick. Maybe you've got something inside of you, right? That you're working through, that you're overcoming, right? Maybe you've got some other challenge. Maybe you're going through a breakup. Whatever it is that's depressing you, that's leaving you down, that's leaving you with a lack of confidence, it's more difficult in those states to have faith. And in those states, when it's more difficult to have faith, how are you supposed to rely on faith? And how are you supposed to continue putting your effort out there? As an entrepreneur, I've got to keep showing up every day. Otherwise, my employees are not going to get paid. Otherwise, my family is not going to eat, right? And so there's a drive and there's a higher purpose there that's going to help me to show up for my work, right? And not only that, if I keep on pushing into this thing that I know, that I feel, that I pray about, that I understand is coming from God and has good nature and is going to help people. If I continue to do this, then people circle around me, and then they start to fill in the gaps of the ways that we can make this thing possible. That I can publish this book. Now, the book was really only my first big success besides graduating college, right? It was a big creation success, right? It was even a marketing success. I had sold a lot of copies and I was really, really excited about it. But there was a lot of really depressing things that occurred during that time too. Like I had a book signing where not a single person showed up in my alma mater town, where I thought a whole bunch of my old college friends would have showed up, but nobody even showed up. And I was heartbroken, right? So heartbroken that for the past few months, it's been hard for me to pick up a pen and write. And that's an example of when, and I know that I'm supposed to be writing, right? And that's an example of when my confidence has gone down and thus my faith has decreased as well. I don't have faith that my story is being heard. I don't have faith that my message is right. I don't have faith that I've lost faith in myself, right? I've lost faith in myself. Now, I have not lost faith in God. I've never really lost faith in God, but I have been angry at God, and that's a whole different story. I've never really lost faith in God. And so as long as I can keep faith in God, and there are tricks for getting back to faith in God, but if you're having trouble with faith in yourself, right? Because God says actually that he rests inside of you. After Jesus came, he now can rest inside of you. Through the transfiguration, he can rest inside of you. This God that you seek out through whatever you seek out through, may it be church or chanting or yoga, whatever it is that you're seeking God out, he rests inside of you. You don't have to go any further. You don't have to go out there. And he says that very clearly in the Bible and in other scriptures of other religions as well. So you don't have to look outside. Now, if you're having a lack of faith in yourself, that in essence is a lack of faith in God. Right? It's just like the way that I internalize it, I feel like it's just a lack of faith in self. And luckily, holding on to that lack of faith or holding on to that faith of God, right? I'm able to bring back my faith in myself because I'm able to see the disjunct. I'm able to see that, wait, this doesn't line up. I have this much faith and confidence in myself and this much in God. And so if I'm able to logically look at this and I go, wait, but God is inside of me. And if God is inside of me, not only is God inside of me, but he's my Father. God produced me. He provides for me. He protects me. He keeps me safe, right? He's not only that, he's coursing through my blood. Like I can do the things that God can. I can do the miracles. I can create and I can feel good even though I'm going through hard, very challenging things. It could be even bad things, right? That is only because I am able to start to see if I have faith, right? I'm only able then to start to see that I am worthy, that I am a son of God, right? I was reminded that last night when I brought up the question. Sometimes I lack confidence, even though I have faith. And how do I go about, stepping into my greatness if I'm lacking confidence, right? And the whole idea is to come back around to the notion that I am a son of God. I am a son of God, and by being so, all things are possible through Christ who strengthens me. That is the essence of what Christianity is supposed to be about. And almost any time that it goes anywhere else, it's just us flubbing up that exact notion that Christ is within us and we can spread the goodness of this world. We can actually transmute the negativity. We can actually transmute the hate and turn it into love. We can transmute the calamity and turn it into peace. We can transmute the chaos in your brain and turn it into serenity. Y'all, it happened for me. It happened for me as a homeless heroin addict to now sitting here on this podcast, right? And it happens to me daily as I see miracles when I just continue to show up. Because sometimes I just want to run away from the business. Sometimes I just want to run away from my podcast. Sometimes I just want to run away from my writing because I think nobody is going to read it, right? I'm sitting there last night and I'm giving a story to somebody talking about my experience at the book signing and how nobody showed up. And then this man comes up out of nowhere and goes, I've been looking at you for the past hour. I read your book 2 years ago. And my heart just almost went up into my throat. And to me, that was God saying, you're in the right place at the right time and you're doing the right thing. Now keep on going, keep on showing up. So guys, if you're struggling with faith, if you're struggling with confidence, you can also ask for those confirmations. God will send those confirmations. He does it to me all the time. Right. And I was desperate for that confirmation because I was losing motivation out of a lack of confidence. Right. And that can happen. That can happen to anybody at any time. The whole thing is it's once you recognize it, then you accept that it occurred. You accept that you have a lack of confidence. You go and you say it out loud to somebody. I said it out loud there was 65 women in there, right? And I said that I had a lack of confidence, right? That's not a thing that a man typically says in front of a whole bunch of women. That's not a typical thing that a man says in a whole bunch of men. That's not a typical thing a man says to himself, as far as I know how men are raised. But I knew when it felt inside my heart, I was like, I can't not say this. If I'm going to say one thing, if I'm going to say one thing, it's just that I'm struggling with confidence right now. So I did, right? And by doing that, by connecting with other people on that, I was able to get all the confirmations that God needed to give me strength to continue, right? So step out, be vulnerable, and trust God. You can let go. You can let go when you are truly being yourself. When you hear inside of your heart that you need to address the speaker and ask a question about confidence, and you're feeling nervous about it. You're feeling like, well, I don't want to admit that I'm not confident. Right. But you feel this urge to go about it. Maybe you feel this urge to make a big shift in your business and realign it with some good values or something. Maybe you see some negativity going on and you feel this urge. If you don't do it, y'all, then God's not going to reward that you're doing things right. Right. It's when you are stepping out and you're actually doing it, when you're stepping out and you're heeding the call, you're going to start getting confirmations. You're going to start getting confirmations and you're going to get a team built around you to conquer whatever it is that you have to. So go out into the world today, y'all, and just try to change that little bit. Stop the same narrative in your head, right? That you're a failure, and start thinking about you are a son of God, right? Because when you do that, you will develop more of the confidence to show up, even if at the moment you are an utter failure. Even if you're at an utter failure at the moment, God's going to use that and help show you ways that can become one of your greatest successes. Trust me, it works every time in the past 6 years that I've been doing it. But hundreds of years that a lot of other people have been doing it long before me. So transmute your negativity to a thought of faith, and trust me, it's going to work. Y'all, this has been Seeds of Change. If you like this podcast and you would like to contribute to it, I got a Patreon page on my website. So head on over, mark.Turnipseed.com. You can find the Seeds of Change podcast and plenty of ways to donate and help me out with this message and with this mission. Y'all, I'm over and out. Love you guys. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.